In today's video, our sword and musket adventurers have to escape a forest full of goblins and trolls as we play our third on-screen game of the Silver Bayonet. Well, hi folks, and welcome to the channel. I'm Lee, your old hammered host. I'm here with Lynn.
Hello.
And today we're playing another game of the Silver Bayonet, the game of Napoleonic Gothic horror from Joseph McCullough and Osprey Games. And this is the third scenario in the solo section. It is entitled The Troll Hunts, which does not mean we are hunting trolls. It means a troll is hunting us. So like I said, this is a solo game, and so you can play it just with one team, but we are playing it cooperatively using the cooperative rules. So we have a team of Prussians led by Colonel Bierwagen. He is supported by Jagermeister Jonas and their lowly infantry guy Schultz. And Schultz is carrying the artifacts from the last adventure. So he has a jewel-encrusted cross and a silver candelabra that they got from the ruined gingerbread house. So my team is a team of pirates. They are the English pirates led by Captain Conager and his first mate Lucky Bill. And they are supported by their rifleman Long Gun Pete. And in the last game, Lucky Bill was overwhelmed by a horde of gingerbread men, but apparently he has survived. So our two teams collectively, they managed to rescue the artifacts from the gingerbread forest. And now they are marching out of the forest, but they have a long way to go. And so this is the third scenario where they have the artifacts. They're trying to get back home, but some goblins and some trolls are going to try to stop them. So that's basically what's happening. Our heroes are trying to march back to friendly territory to make it back home with the artifacts, but they're taking a little nap. So we rolled randomly to see who was on watch, and Master Hunter Jonas is on watch, as is Captain Conager. But taking a little nap here is, let's see.
Colonel Bierwagen.
Colonel Bierwagen is taking a nap, as is Lucky Bill and Long Gun Pete and Schultz. So they're all having a little sleepy time there. But out of the forest is emerging these goblins. And so a bunch of goblins are going to descend upon them and poke them with pointy sticks. And that is sure to wake them up. So in this scenario, it is played on a 2x2 mat. So imagine that the edge of the mat here is actually 5 inches inward, so if you can get within 5 inches of the edge, that's officially the edge. We have 4 goblins already on the map that we placed randomly according to the directions, and so we have 1 goblin here, 1 goblin kind of back over here, and another 2 kind of back in the corners over here. A new goblin will be placed on a random table edge at the end of turns 1 and 2. At the end of turn 3, a troll arrives, and then at the end of turn 4, another goblin is placed. So our heroes are not allowed to leave the board until the end of turn 5, and so it's going to be a little bit of a melee for a few turns. And the goblins are especially tricky because they negate technology. So if you're within 6 inches of a goblin and try to fire a gunpowder weapon, it automatically misses. They are allergic to cold iron, but fiercely resistant to other forms of weaponry. And since we are armed to the teeth to fight vampires and werewolves, we mostly have silver weapons. I don't think anybody has an iron weapon. Captain Conager does have oil and torches, which will help him against the troll, but that's not very useful against the goblins. So the goblins are going to be resistant to our punching and kicking and stabbing for a while, though I think there is a bag of iron nails somewhere on the board, which would allow us to shoot them because they're allergic to cold iron.
And Schultz is carrying the relics from the last one, and one of those is a holy cross. So when the goblins attack him, they attack with a -3, so that'll help.
Yeah, so the goblins are weakened by faith, and Schultz, he's the low man on the totem pole, so he's hauling the gear. He's hauling the artifacts from the last scenario. And so in his backpack, he's kind of forgotten about it. He has a jewel-encrusted silver cross, which acts as a holy symbol. And so when the goblins attack him, they'll be attacking at a -3 because he's got some celestial protection there. Yeah, most of our team is sleeping right now, and so when they attempt to activate, they're going to have to make a roll to see if they actually wake up. And when they do, they will be fatigued. And if a goblin approaches them and pokes them with a pointy stick, they will wake up immediately, but they'll still be fatigued. But those fatigue markers go away at the end of the turn. So this should be kind of interesting. The goblins are going to be resistant to our attacks, and the troll will arrive at the end of turn 3. And he is a rock thrower. He's very strong. He doesn't regenerate in this game, but he's got damage resistance except to fire. So we're going to need to find some kindling wood and light up some torches to help fight the troll when that time arrives.
And he has a lot of health, too.
Yeah, he has 20 health and pretty good offense and pretty good defense, and so he's going to be something of a menace. So what he really wants to do is squash a bunch of sleeping heroes, but hopefully we'll be wide awake before that happens. So goblins on turns 1, 2, and 4, and a troll at the end of turn 3. All right, we start by rolling some initiative, and then we will get right into our game, The Troll Hunts. 11, 15. So the Prussians have initiative, and here we go. All right, so you're going to try to activate your guys.
Yep, I'm going to try to activate the sleeping ones.
So to wake up, sleeping characters need to make a courage check, target number of 16. So the colonel would roll 2 dice, add his courage, and then add 1 because we're in turn 1. So in turn 2, he'll add 2. Turn 3, he'll add 3, and so forth. So go ahead and make your roll. And he does not. He is snoozing away. The colonel is taking a little nap, and he doesn't want to wake up right now, so he is snoozing.
Schultz has a courage of 1, so he'll add 2 to his roll.
Okay. Schultz, the lowly infantry guy.
He does not wake up either.
And he does not wake up either. He's sleeping away. And then you have Master Hunter Jonas Lang. He's already awake because he's on watch. So what's he going to do?
He's going to attempt to find some treasure here.
All right. He's going to look at that clue marker.
And he can get there.
He can get there. So Jagermeister Jonas Lang is investigating that clue. And the clue card is what?
It is a Queen of Spades.
The Queen of Spades. And for the Queen of Spades, you find a bag of iron nails.
Yay!
So all the investigating figures shooting attacks count as cold iron for the rest of the game, which is what we needed because those goblins are allergic to cold iron.
So that was a good one to find first.
That was a very good one to find first.
That'll help because he's got 2 shoot attacks.
Right, he's got 2 pistols. And in reviewing Jonas's inventory, he has a holy symbol as well, so he will be resistant to goblin attacks, as is Schultz. So way to go, holy symbols. So the way this game works is the first team of heroes goes, and then the monsters go, and then the second team of heroes goes. So in the first part of turn 1, the Prussians, most of them are still sleeping, but Jonas crept off to the edge of the woods and found a bag of iron nails, and so he is ready to kick some goblin butt. Okay, time for some gobos. Okay, after careful consideration, the goblin can see Jonas through the trees, and so he's going to move forward. Goblins are nimble, and they make excellent use of cover. So any cover will give them a bonus of -2 instead of just -1, and they can ignore difficult terrain. So that is a goblin moving toward Jonas Lang, Jagermeister. Next, we have a tiny goblin back here, and it looks like he can see Jonas Lang as well, kind of off in that direction. So he's going to move his 6. This goblin here is going to give Lucky Bill a rude awakening. Yeah, he's going to be a primitive alarm clock using his wooden trident there and rouse Lucky Bill from his slumber.
Well, in some ways that's lucky, and in some ways it's not. Because now he's awake, he doesn't have to roll to wake up.
So Lucky Bill gets a rude awakening from that goblin, so he jumps to his feet. He's still kind of bleary-eyed, but now he's in combat with a wily goblin. Fortunately for Lucky Bill, the goblin has an attack of 0, and Lucky Bill's defense is 13, so the goblin needs a 13 or better to strike, and he got a 6, so he misses. Now Lucky Bill could either back up or fight.
He may as well fight.
He may as well fight,
because he can't get any more fatigued than he already is.
His melee is +2, but he's fatigued, so that's a wash, and so his fight is 0. And he got a 6, and so that's a miss, and the goblin moves back 2 inches, so it is somewhat of a standoff. This goblin here is going to say hello to Long Gun Pete. Long Gun Pete stands up, gets 2 fatigue markers. So now he wakes up to find himself embroiled in hand-to-hand combat with a pesky goblin. Long Gun Pete has a defense of 13, and the goblin got a 10, so not enough. Long Gun Pete is going to fight back with his bayonet. Goblins have a defense of 15, so they're very hard to hit. And so Long Gun Pete is fighting with a melee of +1, but he's super fatigued, so it's now a -1. And, oh, double 1. That's critical miss. He breaks his bayonet. His bayonet is now broken, so if he fights hand-to-hand anymore, he's going to have to use an improvised weapon. And so that is Long Gun Pete. He broke his bayonet. Very sad.
And you can't repair him, can you?
Nope. So this goblin moves back 2 inches. And that is the end of the monster phase. So now it is the pirate phase. So we're in a bit of a pickle here because anyone within 6 inches of a goblin Cannot use a gunpowder weapon because they negate technology, so most of these guys can't shoot.
Unless you move out of range.
Unless you move out of range, that's a good point. So somebody could skedaddle out of range, wheel around, and shoot.
What is Captain Conager's range?
With a pistol, it's 8 inches. So Conager, because he's a pirate, he's going to pull a fast one. He's going to move pretty much up to this marker. And he's still within 8 inches of this goblin here, so he can move up to the clue marker and fire his pistol at this wily goblin here. He's at -1 since he moved. His accuracy is only +1, so that is a wash. So he's shooting with a 0. And he got a 6, so he missed and fired one of his pistols. It was a good try, though. So let's see. Who do we have? So Long Gun Pete here has plenty of range with his rifle. So he's going to move and see if he can get 6 inches away from a goblin. So Long Gun Pete is going to move this way and stand next to Captain Conager. And that puts him just out of range of that goblin's technology negating aura, or whatever's going on there. So Long Gun Pete is going to fire his rifle at that goblin. His accuracy is normally +2, but now it's -1 because he moved and he's fatigued. So let's see what happens. And he got a 6. Nobody's rolling very well here, so he shoots, but does not hit that goblin. Not even close. And finally we have Lucky Bill. I think if he moves 6 inches that way, hopefully he'll still be in range to shoot that goblin, and he is. All right, so Lucky Bill is taking a shot at that goblin. So Lucky Bill normally has an accuracy of +1. He is double fatigued, so that's 2 down, and then he moved, so that's 3. So he's actually at a -2. So this is a long shot at best. So that is a 8, -2 is 6, so not even close. So the goblins are just ignoring those musket balls with impunity. So that is the end of turn 1, and all the fatigue markers are removed, and now we go into turn 2.
Now we get a goblin first.
Right, at the end of turn 1, we do get a goblin. So we'll start with that edge. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we reroll a 5 or 6. 4. So he lands right about there because we are moving in 5 inches from the edge to accommodate the 2x2 suggested play space here. So that is the end of turn 1. You want to flip the big red die. So at the end of turn 1, we have no goblin casualties and no human casualties either, but a lot of lead is flying. A lot of pistol balls are being shot all over the place to very little effect. Now we roll for initiative once again. I got an 8. And you got a 12. So at the beginning of turn 2, the Prussians have initiative, and unfortunately most of them are still taking a nap. So Colonel Bierwagen needs to make a courage roll of 16. He gets +3 for his courage and +2 because it's turn 2. So roll away. And 17, he wakes up. He leaps to his feet, and Colonel Bierwagen is indefatigable. So he only gets 1 fatigue marker, not 2. That's pretty cool.
That's helpful.
All right, so he is awoken. He can take 2 actions. So the Colonel's pistol has a range of 8. His volley gun has a range of 14. He wants to be sure he's 6 inches away from the nearest goblin, so his gunpowder works. And so what's he going to do?
So by moving toward Jonas, he's getting just out of the 6-inch range and staying within 8-inch shooting range.
Okay. So Colonel Bierwagen is attempting to shoot this blue goblin over here.
He has +1 for accuracy. He's at -1 for moving and -1 for being fatigued. So he's shooting at a -1.
All right.
And he got 17, so that's a hit.
He does hit that goblin, which is great. And his pistol is a power weapon. The red die is skill. The black die is power. And so that's a 10. Minus 4 points because of the goblin's damage resistance. So that is 6 points off that goblin.
So he has 2 points left.
Yeah, they've only got a health of 8, which is fortunate because they're very resistant to being hit. Okay, so that is Colonel Bierwagen.
Well, let's see if we can wake up Schultz.
All right, try to wake up Schultz. Target number of 16. What's his courage?
Courage is only 1. So
Turn
that's +3.
+3 because it's turn 2, so roll away. And he wakes up. He leaps to his feet. Schultz leaps to his feet with 2 fatigue markers. And there's goblins everywhere. Schultz has a musket with a range of 24, so he moves out of the 6-inch bubble. He's still got plenty of range to shoot those goblins.
He's going to move way over here.
So most of our heroes have clustered over here to get out of that 6-inch bubble. It's a good thing they know their goblin lore, so they know just how far to go before they can shoot. So Schultz is going to shoot at that goblin in the black robes.
He's got -2 for being fatigued and -1 for moving. His accuracy is +1, so he's shooting at a -2.
All right. And no, does not do it.
But at least his gun doesn't jam.
Right. At least his musket does not explode.
Okay, now we got Jonas.
Okay, so Jagermeister, Jonas Lang.
Okay, so I have 2 choices of targets for shooting.
Okay, so Jonas Lang here is going to shoot at this little goblin over here because the blue goblin is under fire from like 4 different heroes. And so Jonas is going to try to shoot some iron nails at this one here. He did not move, so he is just taking aim and firing. So go ahead. And no, but you could use a die from your fate pool to try to re-roll that 1 if you wanted to.
I think I'll save that. But I will reload.
But he will reload. So Jagermeister Jonas Lang shot, he reloaded, and that is the end of the Prussian's turn. And now we go to the monster phase. The goblin with the blue cloak is going to move toward Colonel Bierwagen, but can't quite reach him yet. We'll say this goblin here is going to move 6 inches toward Long Gun Pete. Can't quite get there, though. So he's pretty close, but can't quite get into melee. This goblin in red can't quite see Lucky Bill through the rocks, so he's going to move toward the colonel instead. This goblin in the Viking helmet can definitely see Jonas Lang. He can almost get into melee, but not quite. And then this goblin is going to go say hello to Colonel Bierwagen. It's a goblin party. So Colonel Bierwagen and Jonas are very popular with the goblin crowd, apparently. So they're having a little goblin dance party over here. Meanwhile, over here, we have 3 or 4 brave souls taking on 1 ferocious goblin. So that seems fair.
It does.
So that's all the goblins. Now the pirates get to activate. So there's a goblin in close proximity, which means these guys would have to move if they wanted to shoot, but they've shot anyway. Conager does have 1 more pistol, but what he's going to do is he's going to use his movement action to check out this clue marker here. So that is the Jack of Spades, which is a small gold ring. Add your choice of either a power die or a skill die to your fate pool. So he will add a power die to his fate pool, and he will reload. So he's going to reload his pistol. So Long Gun Pete has a broken bayonet, and so he is going to move away. So he's going to move back about 6 and reload. So Long Gun Pete has reloaded his rifle, and he's moved back a little bit, and he's ready to fight next turn. Hopefully do something useful. So Lucky Bill unfortunately cannot shoot because of that goblin in close proximity. He could try to move. Okay, using the generous pre-measuring allowances in this game, Lucky Bill is determined if he goes back to about there, he can still shoot. So Lucky Bill has moved back here. He's going to take a shot at that goblin now that he's outside of the 6-inch no technology bubble. He moved, so that negates his accuracy bonus, so he just needs a straight 15. And he got an 18. So Lucky Bill is shooting a pistol. That's a power weapon. That's a roll of 10. So that's normally 10 points, -4 for the goblin's damage resistance. So that's 6 points. So that's a good shot from Lucky Bill. So he moved and he shot, and that's all he gets to do. So Captain Conager collected a gold ring. Long Gun Pete moved back, and Lucky Bill shot. And so that's what's going on there. All right, is that the end of turn 2?
Yep, so we get rid of all of our fatigue markers.
So I'm not sure what the Prussian strategy is here, but it appears to involve attracting most of the goblins to their close proximity. So that's what they're doing there. There's a little goblin party around Jagermeister Jonas Lang and Colonel Bierwagen, and it looks like a lot of fun. So at the end of turn 2, a new goblin arrives. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, over here. So at the end of turn 2, a new goblin arrives, and now we're going into turn 3, and at the end of that turn, a troll will arrive on the board. So that'll be fun. Time for some initiative. We have yet to kill a single goblin. I got an 11.
And I got a 13.
You got a 13. So it is your initiative once again. Okay, so Colonel Bierwagen shot his pistol last turn, right?
Yep.
So he has a volley gun, but that's not useful unless you have a couple of goblins kind of in close proximity. And so he can either reload, he can move, he can try to do some other stuff.
So I could reload and then charge?
You could. You could reload and then move into combat. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to do that.
All right, so the Colonel is charging the goblin with the pointy stick and the blue cloak. So the Colonel has moved into combat here with this goblin who is mortally wounded. He's down to 2 points. He's got a silver sword, which would be really good against a vampire or a werewolf, but it just counts as a normal weapon against a goblin who is allergic to cold iron. So what is his fight?
+2.
+2. So he needs a 13.
I got a 7.
You got a 7, so not quite there. So the goblin's going to fight back. Bierwagen has a defense of 14, plus he has a metal breastplate. And so that is a 18. So the goblin's hand weapon is a power weapon, right? So that's 9 points. -1 for the breastplate, so that is 8 points off the Colonel.
So he has 6 points left, and he moves back an inch.
2 inches.
2 inches.
So the Colonel went into that combat thinking he could finish off this goblin who only had 2 points left, but at the end of the melee, the Colonel is severely wounded. He's down to 6 points. Okay, so we have Jagermeister Jonas Lang, and what's he going to do?
He's going to attempt to take out the goblin who's damaged.
So Jonas has an attack of +2. The goblin has a -1 on defense because he's fatigued, so he's down to 14. So
Nope.
7. Doesn't quite do it. So the goblin attacks, gets a 4. That's not going to do anything. He gets another fatigue marker for his trouble, and Jonas moves back 2 inches. Now Jonas has another action.
He's going to move this way to get out of range of the far one at least.
So Jonas fought, he's moved, and now hopefully he can draw this goblin into combat and take some heat off of the Colonel. And then the last of the Prussians is Schultz. So what's Schultz going to do?
I think Schultz is going to try to take out this one here.
Okay. So Schultz already shot his musket, so he's rushing forward to stab the goblin with his bayonet. So he's got to fight a +1, so 14 or better. Doesn't do it. 8.
Nope.
Goblin's going to fight back. So the goblin rolled a 5, so he misses completely. Then Schultz backs up 2 inches. Schultz has another action, so he's going to reload. Now it's the monster phase. So this goblin is going to rush up and say hello to Schultz. They're both fatigued. So the goblin is attacking Schultz. Schultz has a defense of 13. The goblin's going to roll at a -3 because of Schultz's holy symbol. 19, I think he still got him. 10 points on the power die against poor Schultz. Is Schultz gone?
Yep, Schultz is dead.
Does he only have 10 points?
He only has 10 points.
The goblin gets a fatigue marker, if that means anything.
That was a mistake on Schultz's part. He was trying to be brave. So now he drops the holy symbol?
Yeah, so Schultz was carrying all the loot, and so he drops the artifacts. And so someone's going to have to pick those up at some point. So we would take a moment to memorialize our friend Schultz, but goblins are rushing in. So this goblin doesn't quite get to Bierwagen, but he moves up. This one, I guess, is going to move about to there. At the beginning of this scenario, Lynn said, these goblins look pretty tough. I think this is going to be a bloodbath. And I said, nah, they're just goblins. It'll be fine. It'll be fun. We'll just play it. See what happens. So this goblin is going to attack Jonas. So Jonas has a defense of 13 because he's fatigued. And the goblin missed. Jonas is going to strike back. So Jonas misses as well. Goblin moves back 2 inches. Is Jonas indefatigable?
No.
So Jonas is up to 2 fatigue markers. The goblin is up to 1. And this goblin here is going to attack the Colonel. He's got 2 fatigue markers, though. You want to roll for him? So that is a 15 minus 2 for fatigues. That takes it down to 13. The colonel's defense is 13, so that is a hit, unfortunately. So that would normally kill him, but you can use one of your fate pool to mitigate the damage. So the goblin did 6 points on the power die because it's a power weapon. So you roll that, you cut it in half, you round up, and that's how much damage is reduced. 2, you reduce it 1. So the colonel is down to 1.
And he's going to attack back.
And he's going to attack back. That's a 3, which is a miss. Okay, goblin moves back 2. And then we have another goblin over here. So this goblin can almost get to Jonas, but not quite. Okay, so that is the end of a rather brutal monster phase. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 goblins. Colonel Bierwagen is on death's door, and Jonas Lang is greatly fatigued. And so, yeah, I wonder if we will survive this scenario. Maybe we don't make it back to headquarters.
Oh, you might.
Okay, so now it is my turn. I guess I should try to help you out, even though it goes against all my pirate instincts.
Well, unless you want to be fighting them all yourself.
There is a troll arriving at the end of this turn, so perhaps we should try to make some headway with these goblins. So it's unfortunate that Long Gun Pete, right here, does not have the iron shot. That would be really helpful. So I have some things to consider. Long Gun Pete could move and try to get more of a bead on this blue one here. This blue one is getting partial cover from this red guy. And the goblins, instead of being a -1 when they have cover, it's -2 because they're tricky about cover. So Long Gun Pete is going to move around this way. He's got to stay further than 6 inches from this other goblin. He moves around the hedge. He's going to use his rifle and shoot way across the board there at that blue guy. He's well within range. So Long Gun Pete has moved. That's going to take his accuracy from +2 down to +1. This goblin has 2 fatigue markers, which takes his defense down to 13. So I need to roll the dice, add 1, and get a 13 or better. Come on, Pete. No. But, let's see. I'm going to use a fate die to reroll this 1. That was meant to be. So that's another 1. It is a miss for Long Gun Pete. He moved. He shot. He did nothing useful. Okay, so Lucky Bill has to stay out of the 6-inch bubble if he's going to shoot. So he might be able to move kind of 2 this way. And another 4 that way, but that doesn't really help him very much. I guess he can kind of shoot. There's going to be cover, though. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, but in a nutshell, Lucky Bill moved. He's firing through cover. The goblin is fatigued. And so the goblin's defense is 13 now because he's fatigued. And Lucky Bill is firing at a -3, but he gets +1 for his accuracy. So Lucky Bill rolled a 14. He really needed a 15 to hit that goblin. And so I'm going to re-roll one of those dice with my fate pool. And I got a 16.
And it also got you more damage.
Yep, and there's more damage. So Lucky Bill shoots the goblin there. And his power die is 8, -4 for resistance. So that takes out the goblin. It kills it because it only had 2 points left. So that's the first goblin we managed to kill.
And he also avenged Schultz that way.
And Schultz is avenged. So Lucky Bill shot his second pistol. Now Conager should run over here and pick up the treasure, but instead he's going to move over here and shoot. So Conager will move 6 inches this way, which hopefully puts him within range to shoot that goblin. So his accuracy is +1, but he's moved, so that is a wash, and so he needs a 15. And he got a 12. So that was Long Gun Pete, Lucky Bill, and Captain Conager. And that is the end of turn 3, which means a troll arrives. So yeah, there's a big goblin kerfluffle over here, and flashing spears and pistols going off, and all kinds of stuff, but it's not going well for our heroic adventurers. Actually, it was just a few lucky die rolls. The goblins got 2 very fortuitous die rolls and killed Schultz and wounded the colonel.
Yep.
And that's put us in the spot we are right now.
Yep.
Plus, when we chose our teams, we chose smaller teams. Normally we would have more infantry, more cheaper guys, but we have a fewer number of more expensive units. And so when they go down, it's a big hit to the team.
Yep. So roll for the troll.
Roll for the troll. So we will say 1, 2, 3, 4. Troll 4. So just when you think it couldn't get any worse, a troll arrives. And we move into turn 4. Now at the end of turn 5, we can run off the board. So actually, we can kind of start moving in that direction and just hop off when the time comes.
Gotta pick up the treasure, though, on your way off.
Right. All right, let's roll for some initiative. You got a 16, and I got a 10, so you have initiative. What's going on here?
We're running away.
Running away. Flee.
Flee is right.
Yeah, if you run back toward the captain and Lucky Bill and Long Gun Pete, they can cover your escape.
Jonas Lang is going to move his 6 and shoot.
All right. Okay, so Jonas Lang has moved back to our defensive line here, and he's going to shoot who? That goblin there?
Yep.
So he needs a 14, and he is shooting with iron nails, so that could do something. Okay, so you got a 9. You're going to reroll that 2. You got a 17. That's great. 7 on the power die, shooting iron nails, so that does 7 points on this goblin here. Down to 1 point, which is good.
Colonel Billwagen is going to move his 6.
Okay.
And he's going to shoot his volley gun.
So fortunately, there's no goblins within 6 inches now to mess with Colonel Billwagen's technology. So he's going to unleash the power of the volley gun on this cluster of goblins right here. So the way the volley gun works is all the targets need to be within 1 inch of a common point. So we can put a common point there. This guy is out of the field of fire, but these 2 will get hit. And they have 2 points and 1 point. So you might kill 2.
That would be helpful.
You make a separate shoot check against each one. So the colonel moved, so that's -1. The volley gun isn't accurate, so that's another -1. But you get a +1 on the power die. So whatever your power die roll is, you add 1. So just roll them and see what happens.
Okay, so we're rolling against this one first.
Okay. And you got a 6.
6, that won't work. And then on him.
And then the other one. And a 4.
4, so that doesn't work.
So the colonel unleashes the volley gun, but unfortunately doesn't hit anybody. Which is a shame. It would have been nice to see him kill 2 goblins with 1 shot, but it didn't happen that way. And is that everyone on your team?
It is, because Schultz is dead.
Because Schultz is dead. So the goblins get to do something now, as does the troll. And they're all going to rush forward to try to get our heroes. This guy moves up 6. I think this goblin can reach Captain Conager. So yeah, he's just kind of at the edge of his range, but he's close enough to reach him. So that goblin is going to attack Captain Conager, who has a defense of 14. And the goblin misses. He got a 13.
Is Captain Conager going to attack back?
He will. And he got a 9, so that's not going to do it. And the goblin moves back 2 inches. Fatigue markers for everyone.
Okay.
This goblin moves up 6. This goblin moves up 6. They're right in our face. They're right in our grill.
Mm-hmm.
This goblin moves up 6. The troll moves 5. Clump. So the troll moves up, and he is a rock thrower. And so if he's within 12 inches, he can throw a rock at somebody. And he is. So the troll throws a rock. There's going to be cover. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. So it's going to be Jagermeister Jonas Lang is going to catch a big fat rock from the troll. So the troll throws a rock. So his accuracy is +1. It's -1 because he's got cover there.
My defense is 14.
Okay. And that is a 15. So a big rock lands on top of Jonas Lang. It is a power weapon, so that is a 7. So 7 points of damage on Jonas from the rock. And that's all the monsters. Now it's my turn. The one saving grace to all this is we're not surrounded. The enemy is kind of moving in from this side, and so we have a clear path off the edge of the board this way. We have Lucky Bill down here, and I think what he's going to do is use his move action to reload and his action to reload. So he's going to reload both pistols and prepare for the oncoming onslaught, right?
Very good.
Over here we have Long Gun Pete. He is going to reload and then move through here. We're going to give him benefit of the doubt that he can move through that little gap there. Run around behind this hedge so he's out of line of sight of that goblin. So Long Gun Pete heroically hides behind the hedge. And then Captain Conager is going to move this way and pick up the treasure. Now he has a holy symbol, but he is also within 6 inches of all these goblins. Yeah, there's like 3 goblins that can attack him. So we'll just have to see. He might be making the ultimate sacrifice. And I guess that is the end of the turn. So everyone gets rid of their fatigue markers. And we get a new goblin. So what we need is a goblin right on our side of the board where we're trying to escape. That would be great. So rolling for a new goblin. 1, 2, 3, 4. And roll again. 2, yep. Of course. Right next to Lucky Bill. Okay, so Lucky Bill is preparing to fire pistols into the oncoming goblin horde, but a goblin pops up right behind him because they're very sneaky. So there's a goblin right there. That's not what we wanted. That is exactly what we didn't want. So it is now turn 5, and no soldiers can leave the table until after turn 5. So we need to line ourselves up for a quick escape before the goblins and the troll mow us down. So that's what we're going to try to do. All right, rolling for initiative. I have a 10, you got a 13. Okay, what are you doing?
Jonas Lang is going to move 6. He's going to move here. He should still be in range to shoot the goblin with 1 hit point.
All right. So he's shooting this little goblin here. And he has cold iron shot, so this could do something. And Jonas got a 11. You can re-roll the red die with your fate pool. And
16.
That is enough, and so you kill that goblin. That's actually overkill, so you put an iron nail right through that goblin's head.
That takes some of the pressure off.
All right.
Bierwagen is going to run as well.
So Bierwagen is going to run. He's only got 1 hit point. So Bierwagen had a volley gun and a pistol. He's reloading his pistol, and the volley gun, once it's discharged, it's just gone because there's too many barrels to reload in the heat of battle. So that's what's going on there. And there's no Schultz. And so now we go to the monster phase. So let's see who can reach Captain Conager.
He can't.
This guy can't quite. This guy can. This guy can. This guy, not quite.
Not quite.
And the troll is probably going to move up and throw a rock. So that red goblin moves up and he attacks Captain Conager.
At -3.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. So Conager picked up the treasure, which included the silver cross. And so he has a holy symbol. So the goblin is attacking with a -3 now. So Conager's defense is 14. The goblin is attacking with an attack of 0. He got an 11. -3 is not going to do it. So Conager is just going to...
Is he going to move back an inch?
He's going to move back 2 inches.
Instead of attacking, because then
Right.
he's out of range.
Then he's out of range of some of these guys anyway.
Yeah.
He gets a fatigue marker, though. The whole encounter is considered a fight, even if you don't strike back. Okay, so Conager is right here. He has moved. Maybe that saved him. That guy's not within 6. This guy's not within 6. So this guy moves up almost there. That goblin's going to go right there. This goblin's going to move over here. So they're all charging at the captain. So the troll is going to move up 5, stomp over the sleeping bags, and lob a rock at Captain Conager. So the troll has accuracy of +1, but he moved. So the troll is throwing a rock, and he got a 10. That's not going to do it. So he lobs a rock, but doesn't hit Conager, which is good. And then there's one last goblin. That's the one that snuck up behind Lucky Bill. So that goblin is going to attack Lucky Bill. And he got an 8, which is not enough. So Lucky Bill is going to... I think he's going to move away. 2 inches this way. But he's going to get to move this turn, so he can do a lateral.
Oh, yeah.
He can do a lateral and sprint. So he can try to sprint this way and get away.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the monster phase. Now it is the pirate's turn. And Lucky Bill... Let's see, where's the edge? The edge would technically be right about there. Lucky Bill is going to skirt the edge. He's going to move his 6.
Is he going to take a shot at someone?
He's going to sprint. Lucky Bill is going to sprint. Another 2 inches. So he will sprint another 2. So Lucky Bill is just skirting the border. So he is as close as he can get to the edge without being across the edge. But he's given himself a little bit of a safety margin because these guys can't quite reach him. And then Captain Conager, he wonders how he ended up being the martyr of this particular story. But let's see. I guess he will run as fast as his little legs can carry him. And then sprint. We need a good sprint roll here. We really do. And he doesn't quite get it, so he sprints another 2, which is enough to get him pretty close to the edge. He can still get hit with a troll rock, but he's out of range of being charged by any pesky goblins. And Long Gun Pete, now that he's safely out of sight, is going to move 6 inches this way. So he's right on the edge of the battlefield because it's 5 inches from the actual edge. So he's ready to step off toward freedom in the next turn. So we go into turn 6. Unfortunately, no goblins arrive at the end of turn 5. That's a nice little thing. And so all we need to do is escape. So do you want to roll for some initiative? I got a 15. Okay, so I get initiative. So on the pirate's turn, Long Gun Pete heads toward freedom. So he's going to step off the board. So he has escaped. Likewise, Lucky Bill is going to step off the board and escape. And Captain Conager leaves the board as well with the candle holder and the silver cross. So Lynn has expressed some concern that Captain Conager should have stayed behind and drawn fire from the troll instead of allowing Colonel Bierwagen or Jagermeister Jonas Lang to take a rock to the head, but it didn't happen that way.
No, it didn't.
I didn't think about it. So anyway, it is now the monster turn. Okay, so the monsters, aka the goblins, all go screaming forward, move this way and that way with their pointy sticks and their cudgels and their frothing teeth. So it is a veritable mob of goblins rushing forward to say hello to our heroic Prussians. And then there's the troll. So the troll moves up. He is going to lob a rock at Colonel Bierwagen, apparently. And so roll away and see what happens. So the troll rolled a 13, accuracy of +1, right? -1 because he moves, so just a straight 13. And what is the colonel's armor?
14.
14. Yeah, so the troll almost got the colonel, but the rock bounces off of this outcrop here, and so the colonel is not crushed under a giant stone, so that's pretty good. So that is the monster phase, and then I presume on the hero phase, you guys are just going to run for it. So the colonel escapes, Jonas Lang escapes, and the troll is hopping mad, hop hop, because he almost killed the Prussian leader, but not quite. So, okay, I guess that's the game. I'm not sure what we accomplished there, except for escaping with our lives. So the pirates made it back to friendly territory, and Captain Conager did recover the lost artifacts, and the Prussians did escape by the skin of their teeth. So Colonel Bierwagen was down to 1 point, and I think Jonas was down to 5, right? So they were badly wounded. And poor Schultz, maybe he patched up that big hole in his chest from a goblin spear and crawled on his belly back to Prussian territory, and maybe they patched him up. So we can hope that's what happened to our friend Schultz. And yeah, there was never any scenario where this troll was going to get taken out. He was clearly the apex predator of this story, and he ran us off into the hinterlands. And so we won't be coming back this way anytime soon. All right, folks, that's a wrap on today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, thanks very much for watching. We'll catch you next time.
See you next year.
Oh yeah, 2022, a shiny new year.